Okay. Are you going to be sat down and talking? It's okay if you are.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Perfect. Perfect. I think we're good to go.
So
No.
we're already live.
Give me, sorry, just 2 seconds. Send Jelani the link. So we are already live. Yes.
Hello, YouTube people.
Hey world. It's in the group chat. So guys, please feel free to share this in all of your relevant groups and just like watch it as well. Do you want to watch yourself or should I take it off the screen?
Doesn't matter.
You sure?
It's all good, yeah.
It can be distracting.
Distractions. All right, everyone's ready? All right, thanks for listening in advance. So I'm going to show you we're working on Index Network together with Sayan. She's my co-founder. We're a team of 4. And in Index Network, we are trying to solve decentralized information discovery problem. And we all know centralized information discovery. There are search engines, there are algorithm-based feeds, but how do we imagine decentralized discovery? Because when you decentralize things, it's hard to discover. You're basically making hard to discover. You're just fragmenting it. So, and also like that focus on traditional search engine structure, like how it works. Basic search engine, there are 2 parts. The first part is an index, the other one is the algorithm. So in a traditional centralized search engine, there is one, let me just show, yeah. There is one index, so if you put all your data into this index, you're flattening your privacy, you are just giving everything you have into just to another company. I don't know why I'm just saying you, but like, I chose you. Okay, yeah. So yeah. So like if you centralize search engine, you're just, as I mentioned, like flattening all the privacy rules. You're just removing the boundaries of context. Like they can do whatever they want with your data. So that's what we are facing on the web today. And on the other hand, like algorithm part is already famous. We all know the bad side effects of the single algorithm. So like what should we do? How we can solve this problem like with the same user experience? Because like there are some other methods, but like users has to feel like the same experience. And like our idea is to deconstruct search engine instead of just one single index. Maybe like there should be multiple indexes. People should own their indexes and so on. And on the algorithm side, let's deconstruct again. There should be multiple algorithms. They should work together. And yeah, this is right now on the web. For discovery, we have isolated apps. And for discovery, for these isolated apps, we use like these search engines. And let me show you. Like, so to solve this problem, we come up with a protocol just for discovery itself, not for data, not for like coordination, for discovery, because discovery itself is also a very common thing. It can be abstracted. That's our mission, at least. And yeah, for this discovery protocol, we like for our data infrastructure must be decentralized. So we are building on IPFS and ComposeDB and decentralized knowledge graphs. And on the top of it, we enable agents, both human and AI, to work and process data in a privacy sandbox environments to respond and produce knowledge just for discovery itself. And like what could be the final output? Imagine you're a user, you just state, okay, I'm curious about, like, let me show you this one. So you said, like in a chat environment, you said, I'm curious about information discovery. So your curiosity will be stored as a verifiable claim, verifiable information, and it will be stored on a decentralized knowledge graph. And agents will be listening you. Will be listening all the data in these knowledge graphs based on your curiosity. The whole world will be working for your curiosity. So not just single answer, but multiple answers. So for example, an example agent will say to you, okay, according to data ecosystem index, so that called like a contextual data store. And you see like Alio, this is an identity. Since we are on decentralized knowledge graph, it will be interconnected from day one. There won't be any data fragmentation. There won't be any data integration. It will bring all the identity elements, all the contextual elements to you directly. And it will say you, okay, I can continue what you're up to. Like I can continue researching. And if you say, like similar to PubSub architecture, but with natural language, and it will start listening your context based on your curiosity. And after maybe 1 week, after 3 days, another agent will say, okay, I found an update, I executed my reasoning, and this is an update for you. And sometimes it might be relevant, sometimes it might not. So based on your feedback and your composition, that's why we are calling it composable discovery protocol. You can say, okay, I'm not interested, you don't bring me. So you're just tuning and composing your context and interacting with multiple algorithms. And yeah, like, and after maybe 2 weeks, it will continue that discussion, it will preserve the conversation, and it will give you a new data according to that information. Yeah, so how it works, I can explain, and then I'll show you the first demo. So the first part is semantic index. So we call it, our data infrastructure is a decentralized semantic index. So if you search for, what is semantic index? There is only one company is doing, it's Microsoft. And if you search for decentralized semantic index, there is also one company, this is us. And semantic index basically like our vector data. But if you call it as an index, you create an environment for multiple algorithms to work on, to discover data and so on. So our proposal is like we should store our vector embeddings on a decentralized storage. And that's how we enable decentralized discovery, because vector embeddings are basically the address of the meanings based on numbers, based on integers. So if you want to put and store your vector embeddings on knowledge graphs, Index Network can help you. And also for generative information as well, if you Index Network store all the AI outputs on the same graph, so there won't be any fragmentation in terms of this. So yeah, on the top of this semantic data network, we created a query engine. We call it composable discovery protocol, but technically it's a query engine but in both ways. So you can like execute for your RAG agent, your own model, but on the other hand, as I mentioned, it provides a PubSub environment. You can create real-time queries on the top of this knowledge graph. Like, imagine like you are designing an agent. Your agent's run function will be based on this string, like natural language based PubSub. And also we support multiplayer conversations. We are using DIDCOM standard for this. So all the index is based on DIDs and decentralized identity standards. So it will give you encrypted private conversation in cryptographically verifiable way. And the last part I mentioned, PubSub creates an environment for agents to work on in an asynchronous way. For us, it's the best way to coordinate things, not just as designed workflow, but event-driven things. So one agent can respond to another and can say, okay, I heard you, this is my response. So that way we can scale agents in a self-sovereign way. They can exist with their DIDs. They can work in an independent way. We can onboard new economic models, new reputation models. Like there will be reputable agents, there will be good agents and bad agents. So Index Network will allow these parts to work together. So I can show you like a little bit technical details, but before, let me show you the first version of Index.
Can I ask a question?
Please, yeah.
So is Index Network, this is an infrastructure layer, so is it something where people can build their own sort of iterations on top of Index Network, or is it like if you share information or use the Index Network to query your information, then it's queryable by everybody that's using Index Network?
So yeah, Index Network is an infrastructure for building these experiences, and their data. Like if you can create your own index ecosystem, they will be all private.
Right.
and you can decide who can see or not. But these indexes are interoperable. So if you want to integrate with other ecosystems in just one click, just enable composable access control, it will be okay. There is no need to data integration. There is no need to anything else. So the whole idea is to remove data fragmentation. So if you like, we should accept data will be fragmented, right? Like there are like millions of projects that claims data, like remove data fragmented. We accept data will be fragmented because different data stores, different purposes, different databases. But for just discovery, maybe like we don't have to be fragmented. That's the main idea behind Index. Yeah, let me show you another questions before demo.
Sorry, one more.
Please.
So when you discover, you so you're saying you can discover. Okay, so I'm just going to try to get this right. So the actual data layer itself is an interoperable layer. So people can have different private data sets, but they're interoperable with each other. But you have to then give access control to your private data sets. When you say it's discoverable, there's not everything is discoverable. Right?
Not everything is discoverable there. Like technically, an agent can listen all the indexes in the decentralized knowledge graph because Ceramic Network allows this.
Right.
But that could cost a lot of, like ideally, it should be expensive to listen all the data.
Right.
So our proposed business model will be based on listening. So you have to be relevant to what you listen. So if you want to listen more broad context, it should be very expensive.
Okay.
So for us, it should be the future of data discovery monetization method. Instead of just user targeting, maybe like we can enable listen-based context. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of questions on that one. We are also curious about your opinions, but yeah, let me show you how it works. What is an index? So Ceramic Network, they created an index. They have a profile based on EIDs, and they created an index for their documentation. So they index all their links. So for Web2 content, we crawl all the data and store on ComposeDB on Ceramic Network. But if the information is already on IPFS or ComposeDB, we just create pointers. We don't have to crawl. But our crawler is like migration tool for Web2 to Web3. And yeah, we index data. So you can also, I'm going to show you later. Where is it? So you can now chat. This is basically a RAG model, right? This is nothing special. Isolated kind of chatbot. So with protocol, they already index their documentation. So what I can do now, let me just try. I can ask like, how can I integrate Ceramic with LEAD protocol? So it will combine and synthesize results from multiple indexes. That's how we enable decentralized discovery. You know, like this information didn't exist before. You're just synthesized from decentralized sources. What you see now, like this super excites us because, like, Index Network can set, Ceramic Network can set their privacy, and LEAD protocol also themselves, and they will be sharing these indexes with their audience. As a developer, I will be collecting different indexes to access real-time knowledge in a composable way. And let me show you some other use cases for Index. Yeah, for example, Ceramic Network will be able to embed multiple indexes to their audience. For example, Ceramic is dependent to IPFS. So if IPFS has an index, this index will be embedded along with Ceramic Network's profile. So Ceramic Network won't have to deal with updates of IPFS since they're dependent to it.
Also, as a user, you can add your indexes to this chat.
Yeah, in this conversation, I'm chatting with Ceramic Network with their start indexes, and also my as a user, my identity, like my start indexes. So it will be a kind of dialogue. Like my collection and the other person collection will be synthesized.
When you say identity, do you mean like a profile about your sort of, if for example you have a particular text, like maybe you're skilled in a particular tech stack, would it complement that with itself when it comes to?
For example, this is my identity, this is my profile, So I start these two indexes.
Mhm.
So if like one person can chat with my indexes, like completely, if you like, but you can also chat with individual indexes.
Mhm.
If you go to Ceramic Network, so you can chat with all the indexes of, like there's a bug, all the indexes of Ceramic Network.
Okay.
Please.
So
Yeah.
Just so that I understand as well. So your profile is the combination of the different indices that you
Yeah.
pulled together,
Yeah,
right? And
that's
so
correct.
it's unlikely that, or it could be unlikely that any one person has the exact same number of indices composed in the same way. So you would pull ceramic and lit.
Mhm.
I might pull
Yeah,
ceramic and
100%. Yeah,
Bitcoin.
yeah, yeah.
And that informs in the dialogue what I'm interested in versus what you're interested in.
Yeah.
So that's the contrasting points.
Yeah. It will be
You can
personal.
also- You can also create your indexes with your
Right.
data, with your sources, and also add these collections to your people.
Okay, so it becomes personalized to you
Yeah.
as a user.
Yeah.
That's great.
Is there
based
a
on-
particular shape to the indexes, the way that the indexes? So I submit my own index. What is like? How does that look?
Okay.
What is the
Let's
ontology of the
say-
index?
Let's create an index. So each index is controlled by an NFT. We use LIT protocol. So decentralized access control is enabled thanks to LIT. So the NFT's owner will be the owner of the index. So index can be also a transferable item. Like maybe private indexes will be sold, has more value.
Mhm.
So we created SIOS index. So here it is. So let's create a, like, what should be? Is there-
Publishing.
Yeah, this one, for example. So I'm indexing these things. Our crawler is running in near real time. If it's going to work, let's check. And let's check what is SIOS. Let's give it a couple of seconds. I'm going to show you. So the second part I haven't mentioned, indexes are also like multiplayer. You can index as a community, as a DAO, for example. You can say these NFT owners can index together. So if we mint an NFT for a whole community in this place, so this NFT will give all of us to access index together. So if you just mint an NFT, that will like community-based indexes or DAO-based indexes. But what is special for us, like there's a community index is here, but this is a company. So we enable company and community discovery together. We remove the boundaries of public and private. Yeah. So that's another use case. So let's try what is. It should work. Or it may not work, I don't know. So it didn't work. I'm just skipping that. So yeah, that was all.
So then I guess, so to that respect, then ideally what you're going to add to your index is currently documentation. So I can't scrape the website and then get all the necessary information. Like what's the current limitation to what you can add as your index, or what kind of formats you can add to your index?
So right now we support multiple data models like PDFs and like classic data models. But we integrated with a common library called Unstructured, and it gives like most of the common data sources as well, like Notion, Google Docs. So, but Index is an open source project, like you can always add yours. But like as a team, we are going to support most of the data sources, data formats. But what excites most is the Web3 native data sources.
Okay.
For example, I saw your project, and he's working on interpretable sports data. So if he's building on Web3, already on Web3, we can be interpretable. So we don't have to support data models independently. Right now, we support all the data models on ComposeDB, like without talking. If we are just building on ComposeDB, we are already integrated.
What are the users that, for example, if I have a notion that you have to give your user and password to login, how can I crowd this on this app to get user by multiple users? Because maybe I have my notion that is only accessible for me, but I crowd the information and share it with others.
Yeah, if I understand correctly, like this is like you can share index with the link
Yes.
with your users, like that will be all requirement. But they have to just for right now, they have to, like, in order to contribute to index, they should have a wallet. But for interacting, well, just for individual index, they don't have to have a wallet. They just use it.
So in the same way, if I want to, let's say I know the link to your Notion, to his Notion, and it's private access controls. If I put that into the crawler will never be able to get his data.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I put
Yeah.
it on my browser,
Yeah, so
I
if
will
you,
ask you can access to the data because I crawl it for you.
exactly, but I can't just take your URL, put it in, and it'll scrape his.
If I crawl the data, for example, if you work on different companies and we want to get on a thesis together, you can crawl the indexes for your company and for ours, and we can work together, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Sounds good.
And you have so it's just giving access to data, permissioned access to your own data,
Mhm.
and then providing it into a network of
Yes,
data.
that's correct.
And what about the security level if I want to get that data out of the model?
So it's also a problem of IPFS. So on
It's open
IPFS,
public. Okay.
yeah, but it's encrypted. Like mathematically, there is no risk until quantum computing and so on. But we are on the
Until
same
they have
page.
the link, to the link to the DID. Then
Yes, all the data is linked to the ID.
And also, is it possible, this is something that we're grappling with ourselves as well, is embeddings as a sort of form of soft encryption, right? Because the embeddings is the data that they can see, but you can't see the underlying data.
Yeah,
Is it possible then, if with correct queries, you ask the right questions, to bring out the data that's actually being embedded?
yeah, that's totally possible. And we are exploring with Levy to work on private data.
Right.
So there are multiple methods to work with private data. But yeah, embeddings are the middleware to access data. So maybe for private data, we can just show, okay, this data exists somewhere, but you don't have access. So it might be the future of content addressing, these embeddings. And we want to explore that a little bit. We are super curious about these use cases. There might be different economic models. There might be different reputation models across these private data, because most of the data is most of the valuable data is private.
Mhm.
So we should invest in more in these use cases. Totally.
Do you have an economic model for the index network?
We want to enable people with their economics models. So we don't want to impose anything. So access control is composable, creator rules are composable, indexes are composable. We are trying to reduce our fingerprint. We don't want to design. We are trying to reduce design elements. So business model is the biggest narrative, right? So
So do you have a business model for this?
we don't have yet, but we explore multiple business models. But potentially, we are the network provides some functions. The most important function is the access to data, and this storage, computation. But for us, what excites most is the listeners, pops up based. So if you as I mentioned, listeners, context listeners should cost you money. I think we can create a network based
You
on
can take a
this.
fee off of that.
Yeah, well, why not?
Why not, right?
Yeah.
That's great.
So if you have, I'm only starting to understand it, but if I have two companies and they're collaborating through this, is there a way to trace back? So they both have their own indexes up there. Is there a way to trace back where an answer came from regarding the index? So if we're collaborating and our collaboration produces an output, can we determine whose index was most valuable in producing that output?
The weights, right?
Yeah, we can do that. Right now, we just querying is anonymous. We don't create, but we are going to implement DITCOM for querying as well, and the queries will be also stored on somewhere, or maybe potentially on the same graph. So these queries will be traceable at the end of the day. So you'll be able to process this data. Yeah.
I guess that leaves me kind of question about redundancy guarantees. It sounded like through the economic models you're trying to, because Ceramic Stream, you can just let it go, disappear to the winds if you want to, if you're the only one hosting it. So, and if people are desiring, to trace what anonymous users are doing, someone's going to have to be up there, just essentially with a promise to keep it up there. My question is just what about redundancy of these ceramic streams?
Redundancy, what you mean if someone just copies?
Yeah, persistence. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a super important question. So this is like Ceramic is a federated protocol. So it's not permanent data, but like there are two methods to have redundancy. The first thing is to multiple indexes over the same data model. Right now, index data model is indexed by 3 nodes only, our mainnet. But very soon there will be multiple indexers for the same data model. So if one goes down, the other will be listening. So Ceramic allows to synchronize data across these data models thanks to this streaming data infrastructure. So we rely on Ceramic solution, but it's not enough. Like these nodes can be down. We are going to support Filecoin backed backup solution. So this data will be backed up into Filecoin. The one node will be responsible for this. But right now we are in the early stages. We haven't. Yeah.
Why Filecoin and IPFS and not I don't know, Iris now or Arweave that are permanent?
That's a good question, actually. So Arweave is as far as I know, it's a permanent and immutable data solution. Yes. So indexes are mutable. So you can change, you can de-index something, you can.
So that's why you prefer IPFS.
Yeah. So IPFS is basically
first more quickly to make the changes.
Yeah.
Yeah. What you're saying would be that if ceramics was based on that stack instead, then you would kind of inherit these properties for index as well. But it's not like index can't choose that because of like there is no stream model.
But you could also like use different types of services. For example, for the actual data, you could store it on Airwave, but they're not going to change it. But the index about that data could be changed. So like it's all about composing different like data models into like we call them the knowledge supply chain logistics, where you have someone claiming knowledge, someone indexing knowledge, someone storing the data, and if you like look at the network analysis of that data, you can verifiably track the value add. So if you have a network of different providers, like indexing and creating these data streams for specific purposes, then you can have economic activity to make good data available for more people, and especially as more people index the same data, it becomes more persistent and resilient.
Please.
I think just to reiterate on one of Taylor's questions, if I'm right on this, was if ceramic, okay, yes, the persistence of ceramic, but what if there's data, for the listeners in particular, what if there's data that just doesn't get used, but maybe is used very, very rarely by one person? Is it the redundancy I think you're talking about is like leaving persistent data up there without it being actually used? Is that what you were saying?
Well, it's just like if you sort out this whole complex, like you got 50 streams kind of coming together, and then one person goes offline, and it's like, okay, you're querying it, but number one, do you know that it's like 49 out of 50? So is like your like AI bias, like is like the economic incentives, like if it is really rare, like maybe there's like an economic incentive for you to like put that in cold storage so it doesn't get like put in like as much.
So
like,
yeah, all the data will be replicated in each ceramic node. So it won't depend on just one node. Like it can go down in any time. There's no like we only need one live node to execute listeners. So there's no risk on that one. I guess.
Yeah. So like you guys are responsible for like whatever kind of index comes in. You're like kind of like promising to keep it up at like 100% or like 5 nines or something. Like
I think like the purpose should be 100, not 5 lines. Like it's not enough, right? It's here on the Web3 environment. But like I think very soon, Ceramic Network will be rewritten in Rust, and it will be executed on browsers and different nodes. So that just says temporary risk of like 0.0001.
So I guess I go the opposite way too. If someone decides to index like illegal content or something like that, like do you guys have some or DCMA or something like that? Do you guys have a strategy around, like preventing access to those index? Yeah.
So indexer nodes will be. Well, by the way, this is a super good question, and it's an open-ended question, right? We all know the risks. We all know, like, we are network operators, and network operators are responsible for what they host. But and a node can always say, okay, I'm not interested in these partition or these DID or these basically index itself. So you can choose what to which data you are not interested in. And if things are come to that point, and things will come to that point, absolutely, and we are going to enable some features for node operators to survive. I think like we are being optimistic, but yeah, we'll face this problem.
So you made reference to reputation, or at least verifiable credentials, right? So if I'm querying indices, and one index is put forward by, let's say, an accredited individual versus somebody who's not, does that weigh into how the agent will pull or assimilate and provide that data? As
a user, agents will be executed on your indexes only.
Okay.
They won't be accessing other indexes without permission. So you choose what to trust. You'll be deciding. So agents will be executing in privacy containers. So you'll be bringing different algorithms into your data, or maybe into your ecosystem network of data. But multiple algorithms, multiple agents will be working together.
So if you choose Ceramic, Gitcoin, and Reddit, and Reddit has a lower reputation score because it hosts more regularly more bad data or more offensive data. If I choose those three, is the reputation of Reddit going to affect how regularly it's queried, or is it a level playing field for each of these three? Because I selected them, so it's fair for all of them.
Yeah.
I think based on the agent's design, if agents can recognize the reputation of that dimension, because reputation can be based on some score, or maybe an attribute, or maybe a dimension, or there are multiple composable reputation models. But our role is to make it visible, to make it work with these different reputations. Reputations should be also composable.
Sure.
So,
Absolutely.
Also, if on the use case of that, like if you have different types of data and one type is more parsable than other, for example, Reddit has a lot of unstructured data and stuff that doesn't make sense, and you have a very well indexed stream, you query those at the same time, and depends on what you want to get. Because if you want Reddit type content, you're gonna get Reddit. But if you ask and query like scientific content, it's going to have a preference for the index that's more structured. So it depends on the nature of the agent.
If you're asking a contextualized question,
right? You're creating basically a list of options that the agent can use to contextualize itself. And when you ask a question, it takes a thing out of the bag, or a set of things. Right. I have a question. Do you guys have because I called missing interfaces from your own interfaces? How does the experience from a developer wants to integrate with index look like?
Yeah. Let me show you. So right now we haven't enabled agents, but we have composable data. It's almost ready. The experience will be like this. So you just initiate index client, authenticate with your DID session, right? And then you can create an index. This public key represents lead protocol PKP, and this signer function is it's a terminology like lead actions. So this lead actions is like AWS Lambda function, but it will be executed on a decentralized network. So you just created your index. So you can, now you can also create a web page. This is another data model. It's not relevant to index, just for convenience. We created a web page model as well. So just this, in order to index any data model on ComposeDB, you call it add index item, and then you'll be able to query multiple indexes, just specifying index IDs. And very soon, we are going to enable index client on something happens pops up environment. So it will give you the results. And we documented the architecture. I'm curious about your opinions. You'll be the first one who saw this. please check it out. Give comments. They're super curious.
I have another question. Have you integrated with like solutions like Llama Index and like the TypeScript RAG solutions?
Yeah, we are going to. Right now, it supports LangChain, but Index will provide and will support multiple vector databases. We are collaborating with Advert, for example. Codex will require different vector databases like Neo4j or Chroma. So it will provide a read-only vector database endpoint. That's first. So you'll be able to use any algorithm as a scientist, as a researcher. But also we are going to give SDKs for LangChain, Llama Index, or also agent frameworks like Crew AI or AutoGen. Yeah, we will.
Currently, you have integrated only with LangChain.
LangChain.
Okay.
Yeah, that's correct. Questions?
It was fun.
Such a cool stack.
Looks really good.
Thank you so much.
So we need to talk, I guess, about disposable cars, right?
Of course, yeah.
I have a quick question.
Yeah, please.
Okay, is Lit Protocol really decentralized?
As of 1 week, yeah, they are. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
that's good to hear.
yeah. They just announced their mainnet.
Well, speaking of that, did you see that like lit tokens thing they started going? It's like
That's the next question.
yeah,
right?
it's like I saw it like briefly. It was like you might have to start using like these lit tokens to like execute on their network.
That's right.
Well, that's what the fee was paid in on the actual thing.
The wallet.
That's right. That's right. Wow.
Yeah, right now they use lit tokens.
Yeah.
But as a VF owner, like you don't have to use any tokens. Right? So as a index network, you can you can concatenate tokens. So we are using our rights. We are using lit tokens. So it will be free.